Hello, and whatever time of the day it is for you, it's morning here. As you can see, I still haven't gotten my hair completely dried, and I'm up and about early today. I've been thinking about the next few days and the statements, and this morning the Lord really ministered to me in this particular identity statement. And today's identity statement is, I am seen. And the scripture that we used, let me read it to you. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the good and the evil. And so, when we really realize that he's watching everything, he's watching all of the good and all of the evil. He sees us in every place. There's no place that we can hide in him. There's no place anyone else can hide in him. But the scripture also tells us in other places that the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, right? And so in Revelations 1:14, it talks about the eyes of Christ, or the eyes of Jesus, are as a flaming fire. So he needs no light in order to see, so there is no darkness that you can hide in, whether that be depression, whether that be wandering, whether you've lost hope, maybe you've been disappointed. I remember, not knowing where to go, and being in a place in which everything that I had lived for had fell apart. God sees us in those places. I can honestly tell you that is where I found God. And so our question is how will we meet those eyes that are looking for us and see us? So God takes notice of both good and evil, but he'll deal with the evil according to his righteous judgment, and he will bless and reward the good. In the earth today, evil doesn't seem to be addressed, but God is watching, and it ain't over yet. And sometimes good things are not acknowledged, but God is watching, and that's what we need to live for, and that's the way we need to think about our lives. And the things that we say and do is that God is watching, and that he is a rewarder of those who faithfully seek him. So keeping watch, the word employed, keeping watch, describes a very active and purposeful seeing. So God is very actively seeing. This is a little different, but it's kind of like on the same scope. I was driving down the road when my children were little, and one of my daughters was talking to me. And I was going, and you know how we do sometimes. And she grabbed my little face, or she grabbed my face with her little hands, and she turned me to her, and she said, "No, hear me." And that is one of our identity statements, and I may retell that story, but it's the same thing. God is so purposeful. He's not just glancing down and going, He is really seeing you. And not only is he seeing the actions that go around about you, he's seeing the purposes in your heart and your wounds and your disappointments and your hopes. And he sees all of those things. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today because a couple of things. I also thought about the story of Hagar. It's in Genesis 14, I think. Genesis 16, yeah. And in Genesis 16, Hagar, this is the first time Hagar runs away. And it's the first time she's out on her own. Second time they sent her, but the first time she runs away. And she's out there with her son, and she thinks he's going to die. And God sees where she is. And in the midst of, she was being treated unfairly. And I know there's many of us women who are in such situations in which we've been treated unfairly. But again, God sees. And another thing I want to say in that place, because I've been there and I've done it, is I ran. And that's what Hagar did, is she ran. And the problem with running is it never fixes anything. It never addresses the issue. You just keep running. And most of you know that a lot of my training and a lot of my ministry has been in the aspect of spiritual warfare. And I've always said that somebody's going to be running from somebody. And I've made purpose in my heart that the enemy's going to be running from me. I'm not going to be running from him. And it's the same way in this particular circumstances. When we come up to hard places, sometimes we want to run from our hard places. But if we stand in those places, God will resolve them one way or another. They may not be the way we want them resolved, but he will resolve them. And when we stand in him and with him, the results are not our issue. The results are being obedient to him. So that's a little bit off base. But in your email today, if you're involved with the Who I Am, establishing our biblical identity email series, today's video is this, obviously. And then also there's another video in there that I think it was very powerful for me when I saw it the first time. And as I was studying this, I put it in there. So I'd love to have you go on over there and check that out. If you're not involved in the email study, let me know and I'll send you a link. God bless you and have a fabulous day. And remember that he sees.